guys and gals, and welcome to the Monday, February 16th episode of Morning Coffee and Chat. Hope you guys had a nice Valentine's. Of course, my wife had to work Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. No, Friday night, Saturday night. So I made it a point to set my alarm so I could wake up at midnight right on dot um, on Friday night and send her little Valentine's through messaging since she was at work. Kind of figured, she'd be like deathly busy, so I wasn't going to try to send a voice message or call her or something like that. And sure enough, uh, the the old folks in the community were with their uh, dates, their significant others, their friends out at the casino, gambling, eating, drinking, carrying on. They some busy folks. For being in their 70s and 80s, I think they're more rowdy than the young people that go out there. I, back 2 years ago, the last time I was actually out at the casino, um, I hear old people sitting around hooping and hollering. I even seen one old lady banging her walker on the floor because she got some big win, and I sat right there, just a couple machines away, and watched her spend almost all of it before she finally got her ticket and cashed out. That's funny. But anyway, hope y'all had a good weekend, had a good Valentine's Day. I know we got a couple few in here. I think a message just it's a Tony. Good morning, sir. Hope you're doing well. Oh, these last few days they got me all stuffed up. Just what 4 days ago we were in the teens, and for the last 3 days we've been in the 30s. When I crawl out of bed at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yesterday we got almost 50 degrees. Today we're supposed to get almost 60 degrees. Somebody needs to fire that groundhog. Old Puxatawny Phil's getting too old to do his thing anymore. He's getting all confused. He's hallucinating. Do groundhogs get dementia? I don't know. Um, I am, in fact, well. That is good, sir. It has been hitting 60s here. But yeah, we were in the 30s the other day, and mom and dad, you know, 8 hours south of us, 9 hours south of us, they were almost 70 degrees, and I need to call them. When the stream's over this morning, I haven't talked to them in a couple of days since Friday, and see what their weather's been like as our temperature's been going up. 'Cause it's been crazy. It has been crazy. This is not February. If it's going to be this unseasonably warm in February, I mean, granted, we have new storms coming in from the west coast this week. They're talking about major snow warnings and stuff all across the north part of the country. So I mean, who knows how long it's going to last? But it makes me worry about this summer. It's been a while since we've seen 105, 110, even higher up here. It's been quite a few summers, and I remember that winter being a lot like that before the summer hit. And I've got the Niles Renaissance Fair that I have to dress up for when I do security for them every year. I do a lot of running around there, but I've been out there where it's been 85 85 degrees during the daytime and 70 degrees at night. And I've been out there when it's been 50, 55 degrees during the day and in the high 30s at night. So, yeah, I got the black bear mantle that goes with the Viking outfit. I've got the helm. I've got all that leather and stuff that I have to wear. And it is I got a feeling it's just gonna be unbearable. But the nights are gonna be comfortable. Oh, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? One day very soon. Um, Astro, good morning and welcome in. Good to see you. I am about to get Speedo and the Chase Lounge out. Oh. I can deal with mid 90s just fine with a slight limit of activities. I'm the same way. I don't necessarily like it so humid that you can't breathe, but I don't mind the hot temperatures. If we could actually have a 90 or 95-degree day with a lower humidity. I remember being in Texas, down there by Houston, and it's 110, 112 degrees, and we're running around with no problems. Totally different kind of humidity than we have up here in the crotch of the Great Lakes. Which I never really understood. They always say, well, it's a dry humidity and you have a wet humidity. I think the body of water that Texas rests up against is much larger than the body of water that Michigan rests up against, bodies of water. And I never understood why it's so dry that far south. I mean, I was in San Antonio, I was in Houston, I was up in Wichita Falls, and it seemed like it was the same everywhere. I'd leave Wichita Falls, cross the Red River in Oklahoma. It blew me away, but it was the same way in Louisiana and everything else down there. But it seems like when you get up into Tennessee, then it becomes that heavy, wet humidity. And can deal. Oh, I take several blood thinners and coagulants, which does help with heat. Ding. See, I'm supposed to be on blood thinners, and I need to call the doctor's office today too because I noticed when I was finally able to go back to the doctor and I got all my pills, I didn't get all my pills. I got this new shot that I take on Fridays. Um, I've got my metropolol. I've got my baby aspirin, but the blood thinners for to help prevent those blood clots. I never got that one. Um, and that's one of them I'm really worried about. I plan on, kicking around for another 40 years, 45, 43. I'd like to see 1 century. But, you know, with the fear of blood clots and stuff, I don't want to sweat every time I eat bacon or on those teeny tiny rare occasions when we can actually afford to get hamburger when it's not $9.99 a pound. Whenever I eat something greasy, I don't want to sweat that's going to be the one that takes me out. 10, no, Tennessee, no, 2 trees. My diabetes doc changed my insulin to a response from a preventive approach, and I am struggling with that a bit. You know, and it's really funny. My doctors, my general practitioner, um, used to be an endocrinologist. So he's not even insisting on me seeing an endocrinologist now. He wants to treat everything himself, and he put me on this once a week shot. Of course, I take the metropolol twice a day, 7 days a week, but he's got me on this one shot that I only take once a week, and it's supposed to help bring your A1C down, but it's also what's the word? It causes weight loss. It causes basically it causes you not to be hungry. Normally on Fridays when I take it, every time I even think about food, my stomach starts to hurt. I start to feel nauseous. On Saturday, um, I'm that way for about half a day. Then of an evening time, I can actually eat a little bit more than just a few crackers or something like that. By Sunday, I'm fine. Uh, of course, metropolol that causes all kinds of really cool side effects. It messes with your waste disposal. It messes with your stomach. It makes you drowsy. Just everything. Now I got to admit that's one thing I've noticed since being back on my medicine is I actually sleep. The problem is when I sleep. You know, we had the granddaughters over here last night. They were working on the wife's car, trying to figure out. We finally figured out the charging issue. It was not the alternator, it was not the battery. The 23-year-old belt, serpentine belt, gave out and was in shreds wrapped around the pulleys. So they got it off yesterday, got a brand new one, and got it on and got the car charged up, and now it's fine. You know, we still have the heater issue that we have to address in the spring when we can actually, open the doors up, take the center column out, the bottom part of the dash, and get to um, the little, control box for the flap on the heater. But she's able to drive her car again. And thank God it was pretty yesterday. It's going to be even prettier today. God, I can't wait. All of our snow's just about gone, just in time to, get more snow this week. But, oh, let me see here. Um, my A1C is fine, increasing to my, according to my doc, has been on the good side for over a year. Now, when I went to the doctor earlier this month, he said my A1C was 11. He said he likes to see it down around 7, the same as he likes to see my blood sugar down in the low 100s. And I had to remind him of back when I was on those strong, the daily insulin and the weekly insulin and the metoprolol, and how when my blood sugar dropped, I when it got too low, I damn near passed out. You know, it's and being an old school doctor that studied endocrinology and stuff, he thinks he knows more than a modern endocrinologist. And they studied me. They seen how I reacted when my blood sugar got up too high or when my blood sugar got too low. And for 6 years, 7 years, my blood sugar has been right about dead level 300. 250 to 300. And my body operates just fine on that. And then my endocrinologist said, well, that's the zone your body works its best in. It's a damn sight better than the 860 with an A1C of 16 when we first saw you. And he wants it down. So once again, I've noticed that I've been sleeping weird. Like I got up yesterday morning at like 2, laid back down at 4, slept till 6:30, got up, and by 6:38 last night, I was asleep. By 6:38, I was asleep. At 5 minutes till 1 this morning, I'm wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, sitting in here, and I know damn good and well I'll try to pass out sometime today so I can stay up tonight with the wife. That's what I wanted to do last night. But with people coming in and out and stuff, it wasn't possible. Um, Mine is 4, and my blood sugar is all over the place. I cannot tell if my sugar gets high or low because being below 30 and I crash, my doc said it saddened her to think that I have been dealing with this so long that I don't notice changes. Oh, and the new doc is also a diabetic, so really knows it. Well, it really helps when your when your doctor is a diabetic and has been dealing with it. But I like my doctor. He's friendly enough. Um, wouldn't exactly say the most professional person in the world, but he's friendly enough to me. This is the same doctor, y'all, that way back when Grandma was alive and got real bad sick there close to the end. Steph took Grandma out, and this was her doctor, and he said, "Oh, well, she has um, um, pneumonia in one lung. We need to treat her for this." And it wasn't 2 days later that she could barely move, and the wife took her to the hospital and found out she had advanced lung cancer, and one lung was completely collapsed. So but living in a town like we live in, we have one clinic with only one doctor. The rest of them are medical assistants, RNs, um, things like that. So uh, when you live in a town like mine, your options are pretty limited. Um, and I weigh 142 pounds. 142 pounds is pretty good. You're taller than I am, and even without any of my medication for those almost 3 years, when they took me in and weighed me, I weighed exactly what I weighed um, the last time I was at the doctor, almost 3 years ago. With my boots and my coat and everything on, which I wore my tactical boots with the steel bar and the sole and everything. Only weighed 207, which those boots were 5 pounds, and the naval pea coat I was wearing was about 3 pounds. I'm right in that 199, 200 mark that I've been in for years. So that's pretty good weight. Um, so no change in the least last 5 months, which is a good thing. If I go lower than 140, my general doc says it would be time for some medical intervention. Makes sense. Yeah, I was fully dressed, so I likely goes somewhere around 130 or so. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to take my boots and stuff off. I even tried to explain to the nurse, these are armored tactical boots, steel toe. They've got the steel arch support. They're, 5 or 6 pound boots. And, no, 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 it's okay. We'll track it. We'll make sure and mark it down. I got on the scale. I was happy. But I've never been able to break that 200, even when I went to the gym all the time. What, 13, 14, 15 years ago? I was in the gym every day, and I could not get down below that 200 mark. It pissed me off. That's probably because, I was replacing fat with muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. But man, I wanted to know what it was like. I wanted to know what I would look like if I got down to that 285 that they say is ideal weight for somebody who's 5'7", and you know get much lower than 185, I'm going to fall through my own butthole. It's okay. I'll gain the weight back when hamburger prices go down. Man, the wife went to the store Saturday. She had to get, toilet paper and paper plates and stuff. And she found four hamburger patties in the manager's special, and it was $7 and change on sale for those four hamburger patties. And she made those things Saturday night, and I think I might have sobbed. I didn't have any onion, didn't have any tomato, certainly didn't have any mushrooms or Swiss cheese on it. All I had on it was lettuce and mayonnaise. And I think I sobbed eating my first beef hamburger, not a turkey burger, a hamburger, in a month and a half. Yep, I missed vagina. I cried over a hamburger. No, actually, two hamburgers. But that was two quarter-pound hamburgers that my body completely enjoyed. So I don't care. It doesn't. It don't make me feel any less of a man to admit that I cried over a hamburger. Two hamburgers. Oh, let me see here. All comparison weights have been fully dressed, so there is no point in changing things up. I pretty much weigh the same thing year round, except for the coat. A good cut of beef, but ground or whole needs no garnishment beyond salt and pepper. Now, see, I guess I'm a little fancier than that. If I can afford to go out and buy a steak, I can afford to go out and buy, a thing of mushrooms and an onion, and I can saute up my onion and my mushrooms and put it on the plate beside my steak. If I'm gonna eat a hamburger, it is gonna be a hamburger. It is gonna have lettuce, tomato, onion, or it's gonna be a mushroom and Swiss burger, or it's gonna have my grilled jalapenos or my sauteed jalapenos with my pepper jack cheese on it. It's gonna be something. But those burgers were good. Those burgers were good. I was the happiest little camper. Like I said, I think I sobbed. She uh she come walking in the room just 5 minutes after I went and sat down with my burgers, and I was down to like my last two bites of the first one. She's like, "My God," she goes, "You was missing that, wasn't you?" Uh huh. Well, I'm guessing that even though I put up this stream yesterday, that nobody got the notifications that, well, we were doing a stream, because we've been at this for a half hour, and we've had what, max three in here, and one of them was silent. But that's okay. We don't message back and forth, Tony, so I'm good talking to you on here. Oh, also, when I was putting up this stream this morning, I found an oopsie. Yes, it's true. Even I have oopsies. I think it's part of getting old, and also the fact, that I can't see squat. Um, but when I was putting our little linky poo back in there, for the support thing, the HTTPS colon slash slash www.paypal.me/MrHistory2020. Um, I found out that after the HTTPS, for I don't know how long now, we have had a colon and no slash slash. So anybody who has, tried to support the channel in recent weeks, it probably wasn't working because the address was not complete. But it's been fixed and now it's complete. So once again, if you want to support the channel, we have Ghostorama, Nashville, Michigan coming up. We have got the Ren Fair coming up, and I represent our channels and our community at every event that I do. You can help support us, by going to https colon slash slash www.paypal.me/MrHistory2020. You will find a link in the description below the video or below the stream, and you know you can support us there. There's a lot of things we need, especially before this new Ghostorama. I've got to get new business cards. I'm running on 3-year-old business cards. I need to get some new flyers made up. that I can hand out to people for uh, new investigations. There's just a lot. And now that I'm no longer working and fighting for my disability, we all know how long of a road that could be. And not to mention, it's just by you helping out, it is less stress and strain on the wife and I to try to come up with money to uh, grab this stuff with her being the only income in the house now. So I'm done. Oh, let me get back down here again so I can see. I pretty much weighs anything around except for the a good cut. Okay. There we go. Now I've got, for some reason, the last 5 minutes worth of comments were not coming up on my screen. So now I can, like, figure this out. Um, I don't dislike stuff on a burger or steak, but I don't need it to thoroughly enjoy. Oh yeah, I agree. I don't need it. It's just a want. Um, I don't hang Facebook over ever. I use it for with family. For the most part. Richie, what is up, bud? Hope you're doing well over on the other side of the lake. Haven't seen you putting up any videos or live streams there lately, bud. Hope everything's okay. I haven't got, matter of fact, I haven't seen anything from you in a couple months. So I really hope everything's okay. I didn't know if maybe you stepped away or what the deal was. Maybe you ran out of nice, soft snack cakes or hot pockets or something to eat in the shower. Man, that's something to see. A soggy hot pocket, a soggy little Debbie snack, a little Debbie cake. I still do. Well, you ready for summer? Yeah, I'm ready for summer. All right. I still do YouTube. Ready for the dry spring. The I stream on Kick too. Never done Kick. I've heard of it. I actually, we have one of our Ghostoramas coming up the end of May, um, up in Nashville, Michigan, at the Fox View Event Center. and I just done a commercial or the advertisement for it and posted it on TikTok this morning. But I've not even done the Instagram advertisement yet. Between those two, I've got probably five, six, almost 7,000 followers. So I need to get the Instagram done and get it posted. And then Wednesday night on our Paranormal Papa investigation channel. See, since you were here last time, Richie, I've got a second channel. Paranormal Papa investigation. Um, but I've got the ad for Ghostorama at the beginning of the Wednesday night video, the paranormal flashback from our 2023 investigation of City of David in Eaton Springs, Michigan. So I've got YouTube covered, I've got TikTok covered, um, and like I said, by the end of the day, I'll have Instagram covered. So well, I haven't heard of Kick. Like I said, I've heard of it, and I heard it was really easy um, to post videos and stuff. And if Kick's the one I'm thinking of, I heard that the pay is actually better than this platform. But I have a limited setup here, and if I keep downloading different platforms on the devices that I have, then I run out of storage room to make my videos. So I actually had to do the advertisement on this camera setup this morning and then Bluetooth transfer it over to my phone to put it up on TikTok because I do not have TikTok on here. I've got Facebook. I've got my edit, or I've got Facebook. I don't even have Messenger on this one, but I can access it through Facebook. But I've got YouTube and I've got my editing programs, and that's all I've got on this device. This one here's got YouTube, Messenger, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything on it. So anything I do that I need to put on TikTok or Instagram or something, I have to do it on this and then transfer it to my phone. What do we got? Oh, we got a runner. Only bad thing about cigars is how they like to unroll. So how have things been, Richie? It's been forever, man. You know, we need to we need to sit down and chat sometime. Um, you know, Messenger. I have no problem sitting down, taking a call or video chatting or something like that. But how you been, man? It's been forever. Like I said, I thought you might have walked away for a little bit. Taking a captain's sabbatical away from the ship for a while, and took a breather. Of course, I don't get a chance to watch a lot of videos because I can't really watch anything. So, when I when I do watch a video, I have to enlarge it all the way on the screen, and that always takes the chat off, so I never see you in the chats even. I don't know who's in the chats. Not to mention the fact I couldn't say hi anyway because it'd take me 20 minutes to print out two sentences because I can't see the letters on the computer. Um, yep. I keep telling myself March 2nd, March 2nd, March 2nd. I go to the eye doctor. Hopefully, we can get something rolling on at least my left eye. If they can't do anything with the right eye, I understand. But hopefully, they can do something with the left eye so I can start running normal again. It was so bright yesterday. You know, everybody was outside. They were working on the wife's car. You know, the stepson asked me to grip a belt or grip the belt and the pulley so he could get the tensioning pulley up under the belt. And I couldn't see anything. You know, it was so bright out. I was looking under the hood and all I saw was black and gray. I couldn't see where the belt was even located at. So I had to stand there like a big dummy and watch my wife do the work with her son. You know, grandkids were here. They were outside running around and stuff. Well, the oldest was. You know, the wife's cousin came over, brought her kids over. I had them here last night, and, you know, I couldn't even play with the kids because I couldn't see what they were doing. You know, how bad is it sitting down trying to have a tea party with two little girls and, you know, you can't even see your little teacup that they're pouring tea into, you know, imaginary tea, but still, I couldn't even see the teacup. So I'm doing that, trying to find my teacup so I can sit down like a good guest at a tea party and, you know, drink my tea. And they're young, so they don't understand. they don't understand to pick it up and hand it to you, which is, you know, it's funny in itself because I have no depth perception. So, you know, once again, I'm doing this, trying to grab the cup, and it's, you know, 5 inches away from my hand. At least the kids are getting humor out of it, you know. All except my youngest granddaughter, who, you know, screams and bursts into tears every time she sees me. Uh, and I found out it's not the eye patch, it's not the stocking cap, so it's got to be the beard. It's got to be the beard. But yeah, she wants nothing to do with Papo now. So yeah, that's a little saddening. I she screamed yesterday. Every time I would get around her, she would start screaming and fussing and trying to turn around. And you know, I was standing beside the wife outside for a little bit when she was visiting, and uh, my daughter-in-law tried to, you know, hand the baby to my wife, and baby wanted nothing to do with her because I was standing beside her. So you know, it's a little disheartening. So you know, after after the Ren Fair, you know, um, in the middle of May, I'll be cutting the goatee back in again. I really want to keep the beard, but you know, not at the not at the cost of not being able to hold my granddaughter. So um, I am trying to relearn how to listen to different radios and YouTube at the same time. It is an acquired skill from the old ham radio days. Yeah, I bet. Well, that imaginary spill crazy enough to clean up. It's easy enough to clean up. Yeah, that's true. My number two granddaughter will have nothing to do with me if I don't leave the beard shorter like 2 weeks. How to, yeah, father. Yeah, it's a little disheartening. I had my goatee, but it was cut real short um, for the first, 4 or 5 months she was here, and she used to sit on my leg, and she would just laugh and smile and everything. And then I started letting the beard grow in, and yeah, she wants nothing to do with me anymore. So, yep. After the Ren, which I'll be doing, the big Viking thing, and doing storytelling and stuff like that. So, I'm going to let the beard grow until then, and then right before Ghostorama, I'm going to cut it back into the goatee. That is going to be a very active event in Nashville, Michigan. We might actually pull in some of the Detroit teams and teams from, well, hopefully teams from Canada as well. Not to mention our normal investigators or our normal vendors that come in from Illinois and Wisconsin and Minnesota. So that's going to be interesting. The number three granddaughter is similar, but not completely standoffish. Well, like I said, the little one didn't used to be. But then when I started letting all this grow in and stuff, she has seen me ever since she was born with the stocking cap and the eye patch. So, um, just since I started letting the beard grow in, I never did think of asking her mom and dad if she was the same way around Santa Claus, if she just don't like beards or what the deal is. So, how fussy some kids can be. But like I said, it is a little disheartening when they don't want nothing to do with you. And I mean, that was your buddy. That was your BFF that sit on your leg and just laugh and scream and whoop de doo and smile everywhere, and then all of a sudden don't want nothing to do with you. I'm hoping and praying that this new round of bad weather misses us. I hope it stays up around Canada Way and creeps right across and uh, maybe hits Quebec or something like that. We don't want no more snow. I'm tired of cold weather. You can imagine especially if you have circulation problems or you have neuropathy. You already know what the tingling and the cold sensation and the pain feels like in your feet. But when you're wearing two pair of regular cotton socks and you've got a pair of wool hunting socks and you got a pair of fur-lined moccasins and your feet are so cold they go numb. I don't want no more cold weather. I don't know what it is, but I was the only one that they would do that with. I don't know. It's weird. My older granddaughter, she'll still run up to me, want picked up, want kissed. My beard tickles her face and her neck. She absolutely loves it. You know, she'll run up, papo, 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 and want picked up, and rah, 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 and she'll just sit there and laugh and carry on. And it's just, like I said, it's just, you gonna leave us, Richie? Well, I just came in to say hi. All right, well, you take care of yourself. Get a hold of me sometime so we can catch up. I'd like to know how things are out your way. But you take care of yourself. I will find you on the tube and I will resubscribe to your channel. Hopefully, I'll start getting notifications again. We all know how they are about dropping notifications. So you just take care and we'll catch you later. Um, I don't know what it is. I was later Richie. The first clear word I heard from the number two was Grandpa. Her mom was shocked. Well, seeing as how my granddaughters have got great grandparents and adoptive grandparents and living grandparents on both sides. We became Papa and Nana, and then her mom and dad is Grandma and Grandpa, and it just goes from there. So I am perfectly happy being Papa. It don't bother me one bit. Uh, um, Number two is a non-verbal autistic. Oh wow. I earned the tag, Grandpa. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. When uh, when you are so recognizable and you are so what's the word? When you are so involved with your grandchild, especially a nonverbal grandchild, and the first recognizable word is grandpa, by God, you earn that crown, and man, wear it with pride. That's that's freaking awesome. That is awesome. 30 degrees already. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Like I said, we're supposed to get up near 60 degrees today. I think they're calling for 57 degrees. Well, let's see here. Oh, nope, 54 degrees. Still, I mean, beats the heck out of, 40, well, 45 yesterday for a high, 46 yesterday for a high. So, I will gladly take, 52, 53 degrees for a high. Many more days like this, our snow will be gone. And like I said, hopefully these storms that are coming through in the next 7 days won't dump a lot of snow on us. They're talking about hitting the UP of Michigan really hard. So hopefully, hopefully it'll stay up there. If you guys will excuse me, we've been at this about an hour. I've been drinking coffee for 9 hours, eight and a half. I need to make a run to the outhouse. Um, I would say play real nice amongst yourselves, but Tony, you're the only one talking. It says we have four in here, but you're the only one talking. So I'll be back in a second. And we're back. I don't think it was her first word. I think she had no and mom down No multi-syllable. That makes sense. It really does. Well, who the hell are the other two? Hard telling. Maybe someone who's driving down the road listening but can't type. Maybe someone's just got us on for the view time or for the views, and they're cleaning their house, making breakfast, mowing the yard, chasing off reindeer. I don't know. Oh, man, these hiccups. Oh, man. Goodness gracious sakes. Driving 100. Don't interact while driving too. Yeah, really. I, I, uh, I was watching I was watching a video yesterday. No, day before yesterday, and it was about a girl who got a ticket, and she's waiting for her day in court. She got a ticket. The officer pulled her over and gave her a ticket because she was holding her device in her right hand. Supposedly, you know, holding it up, talking on it. And he pulled her over. He wouldn't listen to her, took her license, took her proof of insurance, wrote her a ticket. And the thing is, the girl has no right hand. She literally lost her hand clear up here, and she has got a nub with no prosthetic. And she kept asking him how in the world she was holding her phone in her right hand while driving down the road. On number two, how are you going to pass somebody this way in traffic and spot a teeny tiny black thing? Now, I mean, understand, you know, here I am holding my phone the way she would have been to him. Now, how is he going to see the little teeny tiny black phone from over here, passing her 2 lanes over? Because when he drove by, he was in the far lane from her. She was in the left lane, he was in the left lane, going opposite directions. But yet he swears she was holding a phone, and she told him, she goes, I can't wait to see this day in court. And he said, I saw what I saw. She says, but I have no hand. And her husband is sitting there in the passenger seat filming this, and this dude is just being a complete and total bunghole, telling her he saw a phone, he saw a hand, and regardless of how she made her hand disappear, he saw what he saw. So yeah, driving with a device or interacting with your favorite live stream while you're driving, probably not a good idea if they're going to ticket you for, not having a hand, but yet holding a phone with your hand. If they actually see you holding it, then yeah, there might be an issue. What do you do? Ugh. Man, I don't know who's doing it, but they got the TikTok shop where you can order different things. People have been advertising these chainmail coifs, the full chainmail hood with the face opening and stuff, you know. These things are normally 140, 150 bucks. And I don't know who's producing these, but they're selling them for like $37 plus shipping. I don't know who's making these things, but they look good. I've contacted a couple people that were advertising for them, and I've talked to them on there, and they've sent me detailed pictures of these coifs. They're selling the chainmail shirts. They're selling the chainmail uh, uh, pants. Armor, regular helms. Of course, nothing beats this one. You know, I almost wish it didn't have this chainmail on it down here. But if I can get my hands on the coif and some chainmail ringlets, short, what, 8 inches or something, that I can put on the bottom of my uh, black leather tunic, um, that's going to make for a dang good looking outfit for the Ren Fair. But that's crazy. You go to a like Cult of Athena or something like that to order or to look at chainmail, and it's expensive as hell. And these supposedly come from somewhere in the UK, and they're the old 5 to 1 steel rings. Things look sharp. What do we got here? Hey, Bud Files. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Um, she had a hand like device holding the phone, which may stand up in court. No hand device. She had nothing. It's like she said, her phone is actually stuck to the dashboard of her car. And we have that set. We have these magnets that sit on our dashboard that our phones magnetize to. And I think what he saw was her husband holding the phone up to her ear. And, but he never gave her the chance to explain. He just said, I saw you holding your phone in your right hand. And I think what it may have been was her husband holding her phone up to her ear while they were there at that stoplight. And the cop made a mistake and didn't want to admit to the fact that he made a mistake. So we're doing um, we're doing all right. How are you? Peachy frickin' cool. I thought you said she had it strapped to her handless arm. No, she was trying to tell the cop, I have no hand. How could I be holding my phone? And I think it's all going to come out in court. Like I said, I seen the video, and he was pretty downright rude, calling her a liar to her face, and he saw what he saw, and he's right, and the judge is going to side with him, and all this other kind of stuff. I like how for 2 or 3 years now, you know, the lump of the audit video creators were bashing law enforcement. And the last couple months, law enforcement's been standing up to immigration and things like that. And they were all of a sudden, people quit bashing them. They were all of a sudden heroes. Well, now you're not seeing this stuff happening with immigration as much. Now all of a sudden people are bashing cops again. It just really, this this wave is just really weird of how things are working with social media and everything. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for May to get here and our new Ghostorama. Like I said, I just posted the advertisement on TikTok this morning. When we get done here, I've got to make the advertisement and fit it to Instagram. And I can't wait, to do another public speaking engagement at an event that I helped set up. Danny has always done it by himself. He has done everything, and his health has paid for it for weeks after an event. He actually delegated a committee to do it with him this year. So, we're actually gonna have TV spots advertising it. We're gonna have radio spots advertising it, where we're going to appear on TV and radio and talk about the event. And, to do another public speaking, another big group investigation, and to actually be in a real city event center instead of doing it outside a venue or something like that. We are going to have a nice big city event center to do everything in. That's going to be cool. And like I said, the week before that, I've got the Niles, Michigan Renaissance Fair that I am head of security for each and every year. My God, I get 2 weekends away and don't have to call off work for either one of them. Wow. It is the whole, the enemy of my enemy is my friend thing. That's exactly how I felt about it. That is exactly how I felt about it. Oh, am I lagging behind here? Yes, I am. Like I said before, for those of you who are not watching the stream live, we've got a lot of big things coming up in 2026. And when I go out and I do a history event or I do my security gig at the Niles Renaissance Fair or I go to a uh, paranormal convention, I am representing us. everybody, I proudly put out my signs for Living Histories Mysteries and Paranormal Papa Investigations. I want everybody represented. So if you want to help us with our schedule this year and the many things we got going on, you can do so at https://www.paypal.me/mrhistory2020. There is a link in the description below the video where you can go and help support everything. Everything. Oh, I will never, if I keep your finger, wait, I will never align with someone who wants to screw with my civil rights. You got it, dude. I agree completely. Keep your fingers off my right to keep and bear arms. I think there's a specific place in this country for people to keep arm bears. That's my personal feeling on it. I think every bear has the right to keep arms, and or every citizen has a right to keep and bear arms. Either or. I agree completely. I actually seen something the other day, yesterday, and it was a clip from a movie that Joe Pesci was in, and he was talking about the founding fathers were smart enough to realize, no, how do you phrase it? The founding fathers were smart enough to know that they didn't know everything. And when they set up the Constitution, they set up the Constitution to benefit the people, but knew that as a people, we were going to evolve. So certain constitutional rights needed to evolve with us. Nowhere is there a space in the Constitution to dissolve our constitutional rights, but to evolve our constitutional rights. And I listened to it a couple times, and the way he phrased it really made sense. That, as he put it, our founding fathers were farmers. Granted, they were not your average everyday farmers. Some of them were plantation owners, lawyers, um, inventors, things like that. But still, they were the common man. And when they set up that Constitution, they knew they didn't know everything. They knew just in their own lives how we had evolved. So they knew that we would continue to change, to evolve, to become better. And how everything was set up to evolve with us, not be used against us. So I absolutely agree. I will never side with an entity who wants to mess with our civil rights or our constitutional rights or our Bill of Rights. Regardless of political affiliation. Let me make that perfectly clear. I've told you guys before, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a member of the Whig Party. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm not elephant. I'm not donkey. Donkey. I'm right in the middle. Second Amendment is specifically to let us arm equal to any army we may well face, including our own. I am not Republican or Democrat. I am constitutionalist. Little sugar in your tank. Mr. Fishy, hope you're doing good, bud. I'm glad you showed up because I was going to call you today. It's been, since we talked. So, um, yeah, I was going to call you today anyway. Hope you're doing good, bud. Oh, the second, I am not a little sugar in your tank. Hey, Tony, I'm alive. I see that. I see that. I've been kind of worried that you might have froze to death. And then, when I talked to mom and dad last week, they said it was almost 70 down there. So I figured it was probably a little warmer for you, uh, a couple hours south of them. Now we're supposed to be almost 60 today. So we were right at almost 50, right at 50 yesterday. And we're supposed to be low to mid 50s here today. So, and all this right before it's supposed to snow again within the next 7 days. They're talking about possibly two storms coming in, dragging an Alberta Clipper down out of Canada and kicking us in the nuts. So, y'all see that smoke ring? I didn't even mean to do that. Goodness gracious, what time is it? Oh my God, it is 9:30. It is 9:30. Another half hour. And then I get busy making that commercial for Instagram, calling mom and pop and checking on them. Man, I cannot believe I am a month and a half away from my dad being 85 years old. Doesn't seem possible. But, the older I get, the more I realize that there are a lot fewer days ahead than there are behind. But in recent months, I have learned from some very wise, very strong men a few tricks to loss and how to cope with it. It's my mom and dad, so we'll just have to see. I was chatting with a friend from Mississippi, and she was whining because it was 29 degrees, and I told her it was -3 here. Shut the complaining up. Hey, well, you're not used to it. You know, it's like I've said in the past. When I was in Texas, it never dropped below 65 degrees. We were running around in January and February with a real thin Levi jacket on, or a t shirt and a pair of jeans. And during the daytime, it was upwards of 70, between 70 and 75 degrees. You want to talk about a switch going from the Midwest down to Texas and then coming back to the Midwest again. You get through the winter and you come back up here and it is two coats and three pairs of socks and gloves and scarves and all that again. Has a tendency of messing with you a little bit, especially when you forgot what it was like. Who that? Devilish. You devilish booger you. How you been, man? Good to see you. I was roofing in Mobile, Alabama in December with no shirt, and people were walking by us pointing in heavy coats. Hell, it was 60. Surviving. It's all we can do, man. It's all we can do. I mean, we're not having to thaw anybody out up here. It feels like it, you know, a few times over the last month, but for the most part, everybody's alive. Just bundle up a little more, or just not going out. Period. Now, like I was saying earlier, yesterday, right at just below 50 degrees, right at 50 degrees. Today's supposed to be almost mid 50s, almost 60 degrees. So all of our snow's melting, and they're already talking about one, possibly two winter storms coming across the north part of the country this week. So sometime in the next 7 days. I don't want to hear stuff like that. I don't. I want nothing to do with it. I am ready for summer to get here. Somebody needs to fire the groundhog. He was wrong. A week and a half after he says 6 more weeks of winter, we're having a heat wave. So if nothing else, maybe that heat wave will last for the next 4.5 weeks. then maybe people will learn to stop listening to a fat rodent. Just getting my head straight, as yesterday was 23 years since my son passed away. Oh my God, man. I am so sorry. I bet it was hard. I've never had to deal with that, and I don't know if I could deal with that. Um, I'm so sorry that that you had to endure such a thing. No parent should ever, um, I'm not. Yeah, don't matter what the groundhog says. It's always 6 weeks. It is supposed to be in the mid to upper 60s all week here, which is great. I have some vehicle shit that I need to do. Vehicles. Like I said, the wife and the stepson were out there doing hers yesterday. We thought we were going to have to replace a battery, possibly an alternator. Thank God, at least thus far, thank God it's just been a serpentine belt. Big difference between 130 some odd dollars and 30 some odd dollars. And of course, before anybody says anything, Tony, we had no clue that it was the belt because, well, I'm too blind to see black and black, and the wife is too short to look over the shroud that um, encompasses the top of the fan. So she couldn't see down to see the belt was shredded. So she asked me what would cause the car to die like that. And I said, well, obviously the battery has either got a dead cell or it's not getting a charge from the alternator. None of us even for a second contemplated the fact that that was a 23-year-old belt because, you know, they drove it. Well, up until they got the new truck and her new car, they drove it every day. So we figured they would have at least replaced the belt. That thing was so dry rotted. How it held on this long, I'll never know. But like I said, they put it on, they jumped the car or jumped the Explorer, let it run. The lights never dimmed, it never died. So hopefully, um, just around the corner, 6 plus weeks. I did tell you that I didn't think it was the alternator. You should check the belts every 3 to 5 years closely. Now, after five, it is a gamble. And like I said, up until this year, well, last year, middle of last year, they drove it. And when they both got their newer, not new, but newer vehicles, that's when they parked it and just used it around the farm. And we would have never thought, hell, they didn't even think about it being the belt. When the wife called her boss that she got it from, she's like, "Are you kidding me? We drove that thing all the time." And she goes, "I honestly didn't know what repairs he had done to it. I figured he would replace the belt. I mean, it's got a newer, a 5 year old battery in it. It's got newer components in it. I figured he would have replaced the belt." So, hell, it shocked her. She said, "Oh no," because it was peeled. There was a foot long section dangling off there of the teeth on the underneath of it. She said it was split down the middle. I suggest that people carry a spare belt in their car. I used to. I used to when I had my Bronco. I had an older body Bronco, and I always carried a complete emergency kit. The old man insisted on it. He kept one in his big Ford F-250 right behind the seat. Had an old military munitions box and kept insulated suit, um, kept boots, kept gloves, kept a face mask and stuff. And then in a smaller box right beside it, he would keep um, oil. He would keep a antifreeze tester. He would keep a couple different belts for the engine. He kept all kinds of stuff in there. Or your wife's nylons. I wish my wife wore nylons. I'll be honest about it. She don't. I don't think that a woman who isn't mechanical change a belt, but it is way better to have the help and hope that help stops by. And see, that happened to her, last winter, not, you know, winter 2024, 2025, when she hit a snowdrift going to work when she was on night shift. And it was the county had not even touched this road, and she hit it, and the ice under the fresh drifted snow basically tossed her car to the right, into the ditch and the field. And she sat there for over 2 hours till somebody finally stopped. I mean, she even left it running so people could see that there was still somebody stuck in it. And nobody would stop until finally a farmer just happened to stop and help her out. So, well, didn't help her out. He helped her because her she couldn't find her phone because it was dark in the car, and she couldn't get out in 2 foot of snow, and because she didn't have the clothes on for it. again, why you keep a winter emergency kit in your car. She sat there with it running, the heater on, lights on, and this guy finally stopped by and called his nephew that worked for a local tow service. And they came out and pulled the car right back up on the road for her. So, but just the fact that she sat there, a woman sat there for 2 hours, said a dozen cars must have passed her by, but nobody wanted to stop and help. It's not the world I grew up in. Hell, for the longest time, the old man kept a tow cable and chains in the back of his truck in a big metal trunk that he had bolted in the bed of his truck up against the cab. And if he ran across somebody, be it summer or winter, he would be out there trying to pull them out. I just don't understand people. Damn typos. It's all right. I can still understand you majority of the time. $31. Do do. Well, some of the people might have thought she was one of those morons who like to run off into the snow to see if they can make it make sense, and thought they deserved their fate. Go figure. And anymore. And I mean, I know you hear about it on the news and stuff. Well, you don't watch the news, you're like me. But, you know, people are baiting people. I was, oh God, it wasn't very long ago. A truck driver seen an old woman standing beside the road with her thumb stuck up, and there was a car parked, 20 yards, 25 yards away with its hood opened up and its blinkers on. And he pulled over and to help her, and somebody come running out of the woods and robbed him. I guess they know truck drivers make good money because they ran out of the woods and the guy hit him and stole his wallet and his rings and his watch and cleaned his truck out while he was laying in the ditch with a contusion across the back of his head. And when he woke up, his truck was still sitting there running and the old woman in the car was gone. So, you know, you just can't trust people these days. You never know what. Used to be you'd pick up a hitchhiker and it was, some girl who wouldn't put out or something, and her date threw her out along the road and took off on her. So you take her home, you're a hero. Nowadays you go to pick up somebody alongside the road and they're going to knife you while you're driving down the road or pull a gun on you or something like that. It's sad what the world's come to when, you just can't, you just, you just don't know if you can trust folks anymore. that dumb. It is really common here. Yeah, that is pretty common. Yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad. And I mean, from what I understand, there's multiple stories coming out of different states where that kind of stuff is happening. Not as much around here, but it's just really sad. I was at a party where a chick's date left her because she wouldn't put out. I took her home and she put out for me. Win win. Oh, God. You hoe. Tony, you're a hoe. I don't care what anybody says. You're a lovable hoe, but you're a hoe. You were a hoe. You were a hoe. You're not a hoe no more. Somebody successfully did turn a hoe into a housewife. I was not a great person back then. Yeah, we all have those histories, sadly enough. Thinking back myself, I've got them little spots that I wish I could change. But having that conscience because of the mistakes in the past made me who I am today. So I don't make those mistakes anymore. God, I have to order some more of these. My the strap is really stretching out. I got to keep moving it further and further and further up my head to keep it tight. Then the eye patch don't want to lay right. And frankly, it's not funny watching me try to walk around without the eye patch on because I trip over the cat, step on a cat toy, think I'm stepping on the cat or something, and I jump. Hell, I was out on the back porch for a few minutes yesterday with everybody, and I turned, and there was still a little bit of snow right there. It hadn't melted all the way yet. I stumbled and almost fell through the damn door. So, yeah, seeing me without the eye patch on or out in bright light is not funny. I need to order, I need to get some new eye patches off Amazon. And I like these hard leather ones because the other ones that they sell at like the dollar store and stuff, even at Walmart, when you pull the strap on them, it bends in the middle and goes into your eye. So, yeah, uh huh. I copulated the girl who was a friend for wait, I gotta slow down and read that because I think I read that wrong. I copulated with a girl who was a friend for 304 3 or 4 years, and the and she disappeared the next day or so later, and the rumors were that she suicide, and that broke me of the bad shit I was doing to girls. Turns out she had a burst appendix. Oh, wow. 3 or 4, not 304. I'm old, but not that old. 3 or 4. That's what they all say, Tony. LOL, you're old. Hey, Tony's not that much older than I am. Tony's not old. Besides that, frankly, you know, I hope, I hope I have the energy at Tony's age that Tony has. You know, if he's not climbing the bloody tower, working on one of his antennas, he's out working on a car, running into town to get parts of the car, having parts delivered and putting them. I hope I have that kind of energy. I know I am old devilish, but I will never see 300 plus. The way I always looked at it, and this is something my grandfather said when I was real young, it's okay to get old, but it's not okay to act old. He was never he was never that guy to to yell at kids for running across the yard or running across the front yard or the kids next door playing in the backyard, walking out of their yard, playing in ours, a frisbee flying in the yard and them coming over to get it. They lived on a third of a block, and the alley that the north south alley ran along there. The west side of the property and the east west alley ran the full length of the back of the property, and kids would cut through the yard all the time. And he always waved at them, and you know, hey, get off my lawn, you damn kids. Never that way, and I won't be either. I can't stop myself from growing old, but by God, I can stop myself from acting old. Speaking of antennas, I need to order a few. I have never cared about kids on my lawn. I am annoyed by those who allow their mutts to shit. We're dealing with it too. The neighbors back across the alley, the ones that started this whole cat overabundance outside by throwing their female out several years ago. And the 11 or 12 litters that we've had to deal with over 3 years, including all of them that we have fallen in love with and fed and taken care of and had to wind up burying in our pet cemetery out here. Stephen King should have wrote the damn story about our yard. Um, Now they have two very large, aggressive dogs that they just let out in the morning to run. And the other morning, I went out to start the car last week. I went out to start the car for the wife, and both of them charged me, just a snarling and a snapping and a barking. They come over, they chase the cats, they try to get a hold of them. Luckily, the opening to the shed door is only about yay big, so they couldn't even get their head through, let alone their body. One of them is a King Corso, and the other's, uh, I would say, a Pit Bull Lab mix. But both of them are very aggressive. I took the trash down to the curb yesterday, and one of them followed me all the way down the alley, snarling and snapping and barking. And, as I was walking back up the alley to go in the back drive, he's just sitting there, shoulders all haunched up, hair in his haunch all lifted up, just growling and snapping. And he'd back up and he'd bark and he'd snap. It's like, come in my yard and poop again. The wife went out to take care of the kittens 4 or 5 days ago, and there was eight or nine piles of dog poop out in the yard. People and their pets. I am I seen a mouse in the house Saturday. Now I may look for another barn cat, and they call them their children. Oh, I know. And if they were children, CPS would be here knocking on their door, but you don't see the ASPCA or animal control or anything else. Now, the funny thing is, when they leave their house and walk to their relative's house, the dog will walk with them and not bark, won't take his eyes off them, nothing. But when they let the animals out on their own, they're aggressive as all get out. Weirdest thing I ever seen. But then again, that's like the neighbor that moved out last year, her dog, you know. You can't take a person who has social anxiety disorder and give them a dog that has social anxiety disorder, because they don't make each other better. They make each other worse. And when I went over to her house here a few years ago to look at a small boat she had sitting out there for my stepson, that dog came right out through the door from the kitchen into the garage, come running out, jumped up and hung from my arm. I still have a scar right here where that dog hung from my tricep, and I kneed him right in his belly, and he dropped and whimpered, and then started barking and growling, and she had to come over and grab her dog and take it back in the house. If it would have been a child, that's scary. If it would have been a child, it would have been throw high. At least when you come to our house, the worst thing you got to worry about is being cuddled and licked to death by our cats. It is a pet, for fuck's sake. Now don't have anything against people having pets if they care for them well. Yeah, exactly. That's how I am. But at that the day they are a animal and can deal with much more than that pet parent. Imagine my mutts stay out in minus 22-degree weather. They're happy as all hell. Insulated dog houses. Oh yeah, I know you take care of your dogs. All right, guys, it is past that time. It is time for me to get busy with my day and go spend some time with my wife before she has to get back to the grind tomorrow. So until next Monday, you too, my friend. You have a good day. Take care of yourself. And we will see you next Monday morning, weather permitting, because we're in Michigan and God only knows. Hell, we could have 80-mile-an-hour winds and snow squalls next week at this time. So we'll just have to wait and see. Um, okay, one more story. Oh, here we go. My son-in-law replaced the starter on his Toyota, and it was stuck and on, and I told him to hit it with a hammer. He was stunned when that fixed it. That's funny. That's funny. I've had to tap one starter in my life with a hammer. But all right, guys. Until next Monday, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. And new starters. We'll do that. So will old ones. Agree. We'll see y'all later. Have a good week.